introductions. I'm Pamela Aaralyn. For those of you who haven't met me before, I'm a Clear Conduit channel. You can find me at aurareader.com. Some of you who know me from YouTube know me as the Jesus channel. Some of you who know me from my Facebook group just know me as someone who's into conscious awakening. So thank you for being back again with me today. Thank you for all of your support. I have a really special guest here with me today, Michelle Walling, from the Conscious Awakening Show and N5D. And I just love N5D, so I feel very grateful that she's here with me today. I'm very, very excited because not too long ago, I had the honor of receiving an invitation from them to be a part of the Conscious Awakening Show and to be interviewed regarding galactic starseed origins, which, as you know, I love to discuss. That's my thing. And I was so honored to be on the show. You guys loved it. You wanted more. I invited her back. So here we are again. We're going to be discussing a lot about starseed galactic origins, different planetary issues, how to stay out of fear mode in this regard, and how to go more into your human aspects, how to stay grounded into this, how to actually honor your purposes for being here. How to really get into the nitty-gritty of being human when you have all of this extraneous information without getting into fear mode. So we're going to go deeper today, and then we're going to ground into it. So we want to make this a lot more simple. So I would like to introduce her, let her tell you a little bit about her work and how you can find herself. So without further ado, welcome, Michelle.
Hi, well, thank you. And it was a pleasure to have you on the Cosmic Awakening Show. It's the name of the show. It's on N5D Blog Talk Radio, and we had just a wonderful time. And most of all, what I really wanted to bring to everyone were your talents, Pamela, because when I'm here to support starseeds and walk-ins, and people who are here to support other people. And so I provide a platform for such. And so when I came across your information, I wanted to share that with as many people as possible, especially the starseeds who really it benefits them to find out who their cosmic star family might be, only because we are all trying to learn who we are and where we came from before we came here, so that we have a better understanding of what it is that we're here to do. And, you know, the number one thing that happens when we awaken is we realize that pretty much everything that we've been told is not true. And we start to question everything in our reality, and we really want to know where our family is and how we can get in contact, in touch with our higher aspects of ourselves, so that we can use that information and knowledge to help other starseeds, because we're all here as a group and family to do a job. So N5D was created by Greg Prescott and a little over 8 years ago, and it's a database of articles and videos and information of an esoteric, metaphysical, and spiritual nature. And I joined Greg in 2013 to start writing for N5D, and then I became a radio show host on N5D's Cosmic Awakening Show. And the format of the show is actually going to change. We are changing formats to something very similar to what you're doing, Pamela, where I can interview my guests on video. And I've been told by my star family that that is what needs to happen, for my face to be put with my voice, because I channel, in my voice, I channel my galactic star family, a conglomerate of beings, and that people need to be able to look into my eyes. Now, talking about humanness, I don't know if people out there can relate to weird things that have been happening in their reality, but about 8 days ago, Greg was working in the living room by the router, the wireless router, and he began to get heart palpitations, and he attributes it to the wireless connection. And of course, I attribute it to the energies that are coming in and the cleansing that's happening. But regardless, he really moved into the other room to work. He works on the internet about 12 hours a day. And right after that, a few days later, our internet went completely down. So for a week solid, me being a webmaster and having radio shows and such, we didn't have internet for a solid week. But I find it interesting, the synchronicity of him attributing the internet to his physical ascension symptoms, and then the fact that it went down. And I know that this week we've received, or we're preparing for a large energetic wave that's coming in this weekend on Saturday. So I just wanted to put that out there to everybody, how interesting as an observer, as a starseed, we observe as an observer how things are unfolding, and perhaps we needed to be completely free of Wi-Fi in this house for those 7 days that we were without internet. So that was just a little fun thing about the humanness. But back to introduction. I have a website where you can find out about my life coaching for starseeds and walk-ins, and that's michellewalling.com. I also have a website called thestarchildren.net where you can find out about support about the children who are coming in, proving to us, bringing in the high vibrations and the more than 3 strands of DNA activated to help raise the vibration of the human collective consciousness. I also have a website called How to Exit the Matrix, which talks about the kind of negative side of things, only we don't want to dwell there, but we, as we awaken, we kind of wonder, how the hell did this happen to us, and what's happening here, and what are we trying to transcend? And so we also have one more website I want to mention. It's bodymindsoulspirit.com, and that's going to help you with a lot of your health issues and naturopathic things to holistically round out your healing regime. So that's just a little introduction.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I just put that in our chat again for everyone to see it. Oh yes, how to exit the matrix. Can you tell us a little bit about that topic? People in chat are talking about it, and I'm curious about your perspective on how to do that.
Well, we exit the matrix the same way that we ascend, the same way that we make the shift. There's so many different ways to explain the same thing. So the matrix was set up as an ascension tool in a way, because the dark forces or the negative forces are here to provide extreme polarity, to push us towards learning and rising above the densest form of negativity that we could have experienced in this universe, which is right here on planet Earth at the densest point before the energy begins to shift back towards source in raising vibration, and that is done by an increase of light quotient in our DNA, in our cells, and by connecting with the other aspects of ourselves, which are living lives at the same time, because there is no such thing as time. The illusion of the matrix is that we are in time, when actually we're just experiencing a holographic place that is created for experience, to be able to have a physical experience. And in this case, I believe that our holographic matrix, the organic matrix, was taken over by some beings that wanted it for themselves and wanted to be able to siphon energy from the beings that were in the matrix, and therefore changed the human physical form to where we would have a hard time connecting with source and remembering who we were, and we would lose our memory. So losing memory is not such a bad thing when you're in an organic matrix, but when you're in a controlled and dominated situation where you're being where you're a slave to the system because you don't know any better, that is kind of like taking your free will away. because you get tricked into giving your free will into, yeah, I'll go to Earth, but you don't realize that you're in like a bubble within a bubble. So that's a little bit about the matrix. And what we're doing to exit the matrix is awakening, and we're connecting with higher aspects of ourself as we bring in a light quotient from waves of energy that are coming from the cosmos and affecting our bodies. And everyone has a certain trigger for a certain time that they had hoped to awaken and begin to grow their light quotient and help humanity that way, one person at a time, by doing the work yourself and being able to bring in the knowledge and wisdom needed to help basically raise the frequency of the planet so that the planet itself can sort of phase into a different frequency that is not in alignment with the matrix that was hijacked. So that's kind of like an overview.
Perfect. I love that, getting into a different frequency. I want to talk a little bit about what you mentioned with us being incarnated into the veil of amnesia. There are many humans right now who feel really, really disempowered about that. So from your perspective, how do we really combat that when we feel like we're coming in with these core beliefs of feeling so disempowered? And from my perspective, I believe that we align to those purposes where we feel disempowered in that matrix because it helps us step into higher purposes that may be the opposite of that. So if we come in and we feel very disempowered, if we come in with fear, if we come in with feeling controlled, if we come in feeling whatever because of the matrix, that actually could align us to something that could be the opposite, like empowerment, liberation, awareness, which I've observed could be one of your purposes. So how do we get to that stage from such a disempowered place where we're not even remembering that we're empowered and that we are divine,
Disempowerment is part of the programming of the overlay matrix system, the one that was taken over. And it was just a tool used to be able to siphon our energy. So the way that you transmute that is to know who you are and to know why you're here. And that's why holistic life coaching and getting readings on our true galactic origins, like you do, Pamela, is so important, because we know who we are, and we know we're intuitive, or we know we're psychic, or we know we start seeing things, but it makes it real when someone else can sit and tell you and confirm with you what you are experiencing. Otherwise, the brain is programmed from an early age when we start out when we're born and we're slapped on the butt, we're removed from our mother. It's an illusion of separation all through, schooling and through every aspect of our outside world, which would be the political system, the banking system, the pharmaceutical and medical system. All of these things are a program that runs in our minds, our brains. In our brains. The brain and the mind are two different things. The mind is the more connected and spiritual aspect of ourselves that is separated from the two hemispheres in our brain. We have the left brain, which runs the program of the outside world around you and the thinking aspect. And then we have the right brain, which connects us to our higher selves and the reality that is outside of this bubble of this matrix. So if we do expansive things in our heart and we connect our heart with our brain and our mind, then we begin to see things differently. And when we lose the fear of dying and realize that there is no death, that all energy always has been and always will be, then that takes the fear away. And the matrix becomes a game. It becomes a laughable thing in some measures. Now, I wasn't laughing when I didn't have internet for a week, but what we do is we reprogram our brain to help us deal with situations. And I thought, okay, universe is telling me that I didn't need Wi-Fi in my going through my body 24/7, so let's just take a vacation. I literally began to write more on my new book that'll be coming out this fall on how to survive as a starseed and a walk-in. So that gave me a little bit of time to think about what's important. And is it important to sit on Facebook and share articles? Well, to a certain extent, yes, it is, because that's my job. But to sit and scroll down my Facebook page for hours and hours and hours just looking to see what other people think, that is not going to help me. What is going to help me and others is to go within and to get away from what other people are saying and to create what I want to say and share it and hope that it resonates with someone.
Absolutely. And you brought up an interesting subject about how to survive as a starseed, and especially how to survive as a walk-in. Gosh, I'm a walk-in. I have a sense that you may be too. I have this feeling that so many people, what I'm noticing is that so many people are coming in my direction and saying, how do I deal with this when one day I just feel like I wake up different? And that's the walk-in experience. When I come in, and in order to give you guys background on what that actually is, because so many people come to me and ask me what actually is a walk-in, from my perspective, a walk-in is not an entirely different soul. What that is a fractal of your soul that you have a soul contract with. You have a pre-birth intention. You know, prior to your incarnation here, you're sitting around with your spirit family, and you guys made a decision that at a certain point in time in your life, if you were having difficulty in any of your contracts here or any of your lessons, that being would walk in, and the aspect or fractal of your soul that was having difficulty would walk out. So that switch actually happens instantaneously, you know, like boom. Near-death experiences, psychotic episodes, any dark night of the soul that's pretty severe, physical illnesses, surgeries, accidents, anything like that can, and sometimes it can happen for you fall and hit your head. You know, there's so many different ways it can happen. It could be one of the girls that you interviewed, one of the ladies teachers that you interviewed on your show not too long ago, Kelly Coffey, said that she saying she had a walk-in in a dental experience. Mm-hmm. So I think that's her story, is that she was under the. Mm-hmm. So
for walk-ins, yes.
Yeah, and what happens is the fractal of you that walks in is an actual fractal of your soul, at least from my perspective. I'd love to get your perspective in a moment, but it gets the downloads of all your previous memories. That aspect of you gets the downloads of all your memories from birth until that moment. But it takes a little while. From my perspective, there seems to be a little reset moment where you're walking around going WTF. So I would like to hear your perspective on walk-ins and how to manage that, how to kind of awaken safely with that, and how not to lose your shit.
Well, there's a lot to know, and that's why I decided I needed to write a whole book, because there are so many people that have realized that they have walk-ins or that they are a walk-in, that there's valuable information to help you realize what's going on. There's a couple of ways the walk-ins can occur, and like you said, there can be a soul replacement or a spirit aspect where perhaps in this lifetime you were a spirit who wanted to come in, and let's just say you had a karmic due to another spirit that may be sitting on the 6th dimensional plane, and you wanted to help repay, and the karmic spirit, the spirit on the 6th dimensional plane, perhaps they've been incarnate so many times that they simply did not want to have the experience of being a baby and a child and learning all this other stuff. So maybe there was a volunteer that came and and walked into, and like was born into the body. And then you decided that at a certain age you were done and you were going to hand this body over to that higher spirit to be able to help in this lifetime to help Earth and humanity transition through this. So that's one way that that can occur. Another way that can occur is that you gave it your best. But life on Earth was just too much for you. And so on a soul level, your soul knew it would be best for your spirit, the little part of you, of your soul that's in the body, to go ahead and exit. And so on another level, you make an agreement with another spirit that wants to come in and finish out your karma and finish up loose ends that you left from contracts. But then as soon as they can tidy up, they can move more towards serving and helping humans move through this. And then there's a third way that this can happen, and that is what I actually am experiencing. I have an original spirit that came into this body, and then I also had a walk-in experience at 12 that braided with the original being. So we both exist here at the same time. And then recently I pulled in the cherubim angel aspect of myself from doing all of my work, and asking. When I said that, I had a whole flicker go across my computer screen here. I've been consciously inviting the highest aspect closest to God's source to come in at this time to bring all of the vibration, information, love, compassion that I can to be able to do what I'm here to do in the very best capacity. So that cherubim aspect walked in the last 5 years. And so I actually have 3 aspects of myself that are in this body at the same time, and they're braiding with each other. Hopefully, eventually, the highest knowledge aspect will be here present speaking most of the time, but I still have the personality of the first spirit that occupied the body, and that has a little bit of my father's DNA, my mother's DNA. It gives me not the ego, but it gives me the personality of the ego to work with, to be able to speak to people, to communicate. And then the walk in as a child at 12 years old, that's the creative aspect of me that allows me to be interested in composing and writing and creativity, to make it interesting. Otherwise, I'd just be boring. So there's several different ways. I just want to clarify that many people, everybody has a different experience in this, because there's different reasons for you coming in. There's different reasons there's different places that you came from. There's different agendas from the star families that you're working with. So no one is the same when it comes to walk-ins, but we all have support stories and information that we can share with each other that will make it easier on a human level, because most of the time people do not realize that they have a walk-in. What the number one thing that occurs is that you have a major life change where you either had an illness that was near death, or you just changed. Your personality changed. You became more compassionate. You became more understanding, and you realized that you couldn't be around a lot of your low vibrational family and friends that you may have had before, but you simply cannot communicate with them or even be. You don't even want to be around them anymore, because you have a whole new job to do in your awakening. So that's the kind of thing that I'll be writing about and focusing more on this year as part of my agreement to help support starseeds, so that we get this job done quickly and we help move this reality out of the old energy into the new energy.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I can't wait to read about it And I love all of your articles on N5D and on um, michellewalling.com and all of these different places. I've been reading them and they're just chock full of information. They're so loaded with very specific tools, grounded tools of how to actually manage this kind of thing. So I just can't wait. I'm hungry to get my hands on what you have to say about that in book form. So feel free to let us know as soon as it comes out so that we can all load up our Kindles, and if you're going to offer it in Kindle form. If not, that's fine too. We'll have it on our bookshelves as well. Well, however you're going to offer it, I'm sure we're all going to be hungry to get that. Um,
There's a website that I didn't mention. It's called cosmicstarseeds.com, and that is just a conglomerate of all of the articles I've ever written and published, and all of the videos, the interviews I've done. I've been interviewed and given interviews. So if you want to check that out, cosmicstarseeds.com. And
that's the one
N5D
I was trying to get to.
Man, N5D has so many articles. There's a search button on the top right-hand column of N5D, and you just type in the main topic that you would like to research, and then you'll get a whole bunch of articles to choose from. So one thing we can't be is spiritually lazy. A lot of people are waiting for something to happen to them, and it's very important that we take the bull by the horns and that we do the work ourselves, and that if you are truly dedicating your life to your mission, you have an unquenchable thirst for answers. And yes, all the answers are found within, but if you're an intuitive like I am, you enjoy reading everything that's without, and then you find out what resonates with you within, and then you can add to it because it's all a part of remembering. That's how we remember, is we look at what everybody else is experiencing and saying, and then something will hit so hard, we'll just know that it's truth. And then we can go within deeper to expand on that until we can learn to find every single answer that we have within.
Yeah, I'm noticing that as well. I completely agree. That is definitely the website that I have been reading, the cosmicstarseeds.com, with all of your stuff there. And I was really, really appreciating the tools and the grounded information that you had on how to handle this. So I wanted to thank you for offering that to us and for putting all this hard work out there, because it really is hard work. And it really is a purpose that, we both come in to share. And I just love that you're offering up this gift, and that you're just really dedicating your life to this in such a beautiful facet. So thank you for that. Um, but with walk-ins, so many people are coming to me and they're like, just despondent, kind of like, I don't know what to trust anymore. I don't know what's true. I don't know how to operate within my own discernment. There's so much information, and then, what they're calling misinformation, and so much of this, that, and the other. And what I try to explain is sort of a version of what you just said. Utilize your own discernment, trust yourself a little bit more. The whole idea of being born with an emotional guidance system, I'll call this your heart compass. And this is the key to your awakening. It's the grounded stuff. So many people are like, how do you function as a fully enlightened being? Well, I want to first of all say I am not a fully enlightened being. I'm not one of those people that's going to say that, because I'm not. I'm a gifted being. I'm an awakened being, but a fully enlightened being, no. No, if that was the case, I would be floating around in 5D, and that's wonderful, but I'm not Matt Kahn. I still have ego, right? So with the soul braid experiences, like what Michelle was mentioning, with the walk-in experiences, it's really important to get into that and stop blaming yourself, shaming yourself, stepping into fear mode, punishing yourself, not trusting yourself, and going into all these various confusion-based tactics where so many people come to me and they're like, it's because I don't really have signs from the guides. And if I had clear-based signs, I'm going on an indigo rant. Just bear with me. At least I'll let you know when it's occurring. If I just got clear signs, in my life, and if I just had this, and if a guide would pop up in front of me, and if my clairvoyance opened, and if I saw spirits in front of me like you do, Pamela, then of course, then I would know. I'm like, okay, let me tell you right now, for those of you who awakened before opening to your heart center and integrating and healing from the heart center, for those of you who saw things extraneously, you lost your shit and ended up on antidepressants, fell into a full cycle of dark night of the soul, and then had to awaken the hard way. So if you aren't seeing things, please don't feel, I beg you, not to feel as if spirit doesn't love you, or as if you aren't connected from source, or as if you have been abandoned by source, or if you're lost, or you're not confused, you're scared. You are getting signs, but they're in here. Okay, they're coming from your etheric spiritual abilities that you were born to express through your bodies and your minds and your spirits. And when you feel that separation, that's the matrix. That's that confusion that they want you to sink into. When you step into these fear-based modes where you're like, oh my gosh, I need signs, I need this, I need that. When you release the need to know that and you trust your own knowingness, all those signs are going to come to you. All that extraneous stuff that you think is extraneous is actually in here, and then you're going to see it, and then you're going to be like, that wasn't what I expected to see at all, and that feels so much part of me. And you'll understand that it's not extraneous, that it is of you, you know? So
Definitely when there's a lot of confusion going on with so much information, and you're trying to figure out what's true, and in fact you actually literally hear someone say one thing, and then you literally hear somebody say the exact opposite, and you're going, WTF. Think of it as a game, because anytime there's such confusion, there's a truth to be found. You've got to dig a little bit deeper. You've got to learn to trust your own intuition. And when something sounds like bullshit, then call it bullshit yourself and say, that just doesn't resonate with me. But that bullshit could resonate to somebody else, because everybody sees things differently from their perspective and from their filters. And the filters are belief systems that we may not realize we still have ingrained within us. So part of the work involves looking at your own belief systems, and you may think something is bullshit today, and then 2 days later you think, oh, that's not bullshit. So that's growth, that's spiritual growth, because you've just broken down a filter, which is like peeling back a layer of an onion to getting your own truth. And forgive yourself each time you make a realization where one day your truth is this, and the next day, oh, okay, it's that. And try not to put your foot in your mouth and call out somebody else's bullshit, because you never know when that bullshit could become your truth. Okay, so this is a game. This is a survival, outwit, outsmart, outplay type situation. And when you think of it that way, on a higher level, as a game, then it makes it so much easier. And one of the things that my guides always come through other people to tell me, because I'm not one that has a conversation with my guides like you can, Pamela. And so I'm telling people this because I've been there. Why can't I hear my guides talking to me? But what they do is they always come through and they tell me, don't be so serious. You really need to lighten up a little bit, okay? And I'm so serious because I don't want to come back. I want to get my job done. I want to help Earth and humanity ascend and be able to reap the benefits of it. But this is the time. We are here to do this now. But we don't trust ourselves enough, and that's why it's so wonderful to have somebody that we can talk to. For those of you who can't see your guides, you can't hear your guides, they're there. Just because you can't see them and hear them doesn't mean that they're not there. Your guides are usually the higher aspects of yourself, and they're here to drop thought packets and how many times do you think a thought is actually yours? Most thoughts that we have are not really, they're ours on another level, but they're not ours from this brain. This brain doesn't produce thoughts. This brain runs a program. And this brain can be changed from running a program that we learned from the Matrix on television to a program that runs on accepting thoughts and translating them into your current thoughts, like, oh, you just get this aha moment in this thought. Well, that comes from your guidance. So we've got to trust ourselves, and we got to trust that we are connected at all times, because it's the energy that's coming to the planet, the light, the frequency quotient, all that is changing our cells. And just because we can't see our cells inside our body changing doesn't mean it's not happening. And it's literally happening underneath our noses. At this moment, it's happening. So own it and stand in your power and change your beliefs that I can't to I can and I am, and I'm doing it now. And I just want to give a shout out to Candace Crawl Goldman, who's here joining us. She's also an N5D radio show host, and she has a show on Fridays. So hi, Candace. And hi, everybody else. Do we want to take some questions?
The one I'm showing here now is here at the top of our screen. You guys can see the questions where it says current topic, just in case you're curious. And it says, I am one of those people who don't feel my galactic origins are other than Earth, meaning I have never felt that pull that I don't belong here. Is there a reason why so many of us feel this way? Yeah, I'll go ahead and respond to that. There could be various reasons. There's not a catch-all answer to that. With many people who haven't discovered their galactic origins, they're not really connecting to it because they're not ready to connect to it. They're not really connecting to it because to get in a fear mode, if their guides know that they're not able to handle the information, it won't come in until they are ready to handle the information. That's one particular, that in my perspective, that is one of many things that could be happening. Another thing is enlightenment is actually quite simple. People who are enlightened, before enlightenment, you chop wood. After enlightenment, you chop wood. People who are enlightened can look at the dishes and find galaxies in the bubbles, okay? People who are enlightened aren't looking anymore at whether or not they are a starseed or not, because they just say, I'm here to be human and I'm enjoying the human body. I'm enjoying the human experience. I'm grounded in this body. And I'm really, really connected to my body and my mind and my spirit, and I'm not feeling separation. Much in the same light of when you start your enlightenment journey, at least from my perspective, you're out here and you're kind of looking at it in a way that's separated, and you're going, oh, I see the sun's rays. I see it from out here. I don't know if you can see my fingers. So this is the sun, this is you. And you see all the little rays, and you're able to identify them, and you're into definition, and you're like, oh, that's a ray, and oh, that might be a solar flare, and oh, that's this, and that's that. And then as you get closer, fear sets in, because you're like, oh, I don't know if that's going to burn me. But when you lose that fear and you get really closer, then you're like, it's light, it's sun, it's my light body, it's beauty, it's I am, it's the everything, it's isness. You don't look at it and say, oh, that's this, that's that. You're just like, just is, having a great time. So for those of you who actually are enlightened and don't even know it, you're walking around as probably the most grounded human beings I ever met. That's my perspective on that. And then there's the other option. You could just be human.
We've got a little bit of static going on. I don't know if anybody else can hear it, but it's some energy is joining you right now as you're speaking, and it's really making it buzzy. Can anybody else hear that, or is it just my internet? Catherine said, how can I tell what my galactic origin is? And I would like to say that one of the ways that I figured out what my galactic origin was is I began to really be interested in people who were channeling the Andromedans and the Pleiadians and the Arcturians, and they seemed to have a lot of information that deeply resonated with me. And so then I began to have this war, this battle, okay, within myself. Okay, well, am I Pleiadian? Am I Arcturian? Am I Andromedan? Which one am I? And really, we're all of that. Many of us have had the experience in every star system that has DNA inserted into this human body that we have, so that we could incarnate at this time. It was all planned and set up to where we could take the best aspects of each race and star race and put it into this body. But then, you can have a reading with Pamela and you can find out who the major aspect of your star family is that you chose to come forth at this time. And in my case, it was Andromedan. And but I work very closely with the Pleiadians and Arcturians on the Galactic Councils. And I'm an ambassador. And many of you are doing the same thing. You're ambassadors. You're representing your small sect or family of a certain part of the Pleiadians or a certain group of there's so many stars out there. You guys, don't forget, when you think of the Pleiades, how many thousands of stars are in the Pleiades system, okay? So don't forget, we tend to think so small here, but there are good guys and bad guys from the Pleiades. So it's not as important to know what star system you're from as it is to find your family here on this planet that you resonate with. And you can have friends from all over, because that's what the new earth and the new way of living here is going to be. It's going to be all of us getting along together. If we can't get along here on earth, how are we going to do it out there? And to learn to live in a community with each other and respect each other's uniqueness, because we are all experiencing this so that we can take this experience back to Source, and Source can realize the unique personalities of itself. Okay, are we all starseeds? I would say that I don't know that of any souls that are actually born from Earth. Souls are usually born from nurseries in the universe. And but most all of the souls that are here right now come all the way back from when Source first created the seraphim angels and then the cherubim angels. The seraphim angels were created to mirror and send love back to Source so that Source would know who they were. And then the cherubim angels were created to send messages and to organize information and to be masters of vibration and to carry information across the universe and back to Source. And then the first soul was created, and that was a soul that Yeshua came from, or Jesus. And that soul was created to open up and close rounds of experience, or rounds of Brahma. And then there were other souls that were created on rays, which were different colors, which just simply means different vibrations, which have different jobs to do as experienced beings. And so everyone that's here pretty much came from that, where you had seraphim, cherubim, and from a ray, were you part of the divine feminine or divine masculine part of those beings. And then we fractalized all the way down. And as we fractalized, we went to different planets. And we had different experiences. And so that's what a star seed is someone from another, one of those fractals that lived and experienced either on another planet or on a ship or traveled around and then came here, a little seed of themselves to be planted, and then to be so far away from source, but that seed begins to grow and begins to sprout and begins to connect again with source, all the way up through the lineage from all the stars and all the planets back to their origin of when they were first separated from source to experience.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can completely agree with that perspective, especially the part about splitting from fractals. And I do believe that we come from divine feminine and divine masculine, at least from my perspective. And that's what I'm here teaching as well. And I believe that we actually choose it. That's something that I feel is really important to know, because so many people, and this kind of leads into our next question, so many people are coming in and saying, I'm stuck here. I didn't choose to be here. I'm imprisoned here. I'm on a prison planet. And while that is true that we did come in a prison planet, it wasn't meant to be that way. It ended up happening that way. We are evolving out of that. At least from my perspective, we are coming in and ascending out of that. The point is to get out of that system, but you choose. And a friend of mine said this the other night. She said, I don't imagine that I would choose anything this difficult and this non-peaceful, and all I want is peace, peace, peace. Especially from those of you who are coming in from the Syrian perspective, you've had so much war that by the time you get to Earth, your veil of amnesia seems to be a lot stronger from what I'm noticing. Those of you who have had a lot of interplanetary war and galactic experiences with war prior to being here, you are so done. And then you come in and you're like, okay, I'm here because this is the last time I'm going to do it, but I'm just feeling a little tired. So I want to validate that and help you understand that I understand why you're tired. I understand that you've been through a lot, but I also understand that if this is your last hurrah here on Earth, you better go out with a bang. Go out in a good way. So that the next question is, I know Pamela's perspective on the whole Archon prison planet matrix thing. Prison planet matrix thing. How about your thoughts, Michelle? How long have we been stuck in this, and how do we get paroled?
Well, I haven't been stuck in it in between lives, because I have done this so many times on other planets that I have experience with coming in and freeing the prisoners, basically, because this has not only been done on Earth, but it's been done other places. It's a pattern, it's a program that's been installed to take energy, because the beings who installed this program they're not connected to source anymore. They chose to move the furthest away from source, and they exist by stealing energy. And when you have a planet and when you have an incarnate body, those two things are connected to source. The planets are all connected to source, and the bodies are made of the same materials of that planet. And so they figured out, first they started stealing energy from planets, and then they began decimating planets as they went, because they would just shrivel up and die or explode in war or whatever. So then they decided to use the smaller part of the planet, which is the human, and get the energy from the human. So what happens on Earth right now affects the whole universe. Okay, so we couldn't just let this planet be decimated, be destroyed, be sucked dry from energy into some, dead carcass. So we did, the starseeds did volunteer to come here to free the planet from the inside out. And I'm going to tell you a little secret about Earth, and that as her consciousness volunteered to serve as a decoy. Okay, she was the bright blue planet that was very. She's in a place in the universe along trade lines, to where you have to stop at Earth if you're in a fourth dimensional way of traversing the universe in a spaceship. You will need to stop and get supplies or energy or fuel or resources from planet to planet. if you're in a fifth dimensional or higher way of traveling through wormholes and stargates, and even without a spaceship, just using your consciousness, you don't need to stop and fuel up. You have your own connection to source. You are your own star energy. So these beings found this Earth who had all of these resources, and then that's how they wanted to take it for themselves. But in fact, she was a sitting duck, and this was a way to, for once and for all, as we moved from the densest, most dark type of energy in this experience back to source and expand, then there had to be this was a plan on how to gather the darkest of the dark in one place and give them a choice. Now that they are here, and they got stuck here, by the way, too. Part of the plan was to quarantine them here as well. So here we are, all paroled and stuck together, right? So that we can do what? Well, so that the Earth can shift and raise her vibration to a point that's higher than these beings who are finally going to have to give up their domination and control and fiefdom in the universe by either raising their vibration and becoming a change from service to self to service to others, or just going ahead and going back to source and starting their reality over again. They won't ever die because they're energy, but source can reconstitute that energy into another experience. And it's not that they did anything horribly bad in source's eyes, because they are a part of source. And that's what everybody, when you're really trying to talk about good guys, bad matrix, organic matrix, it's all part of source. So as far as being stuck here, you're only stuck here if you think you're stuck here. In between lives, I've always gone back. My consciousness has joined another aspect of myself. Not always. Sometimes I immediately incarnated back into another body, but most of the time there was a higher aspect of me that knew where to go when I left the body, and was able to go reformulate another plan. Because see, I came here each time there was an important time energetically. If you have a star family that you work with, your soul family, you come here on my, I don't want to say on my level, because we're all the same, but for my job, I come here at a different time of shift, energetic shifts, or to plant seeds and to protect information. Like, for instance, when I was in a scene, we had to rewrite the scrolls, the Dead Sea Scrolls, several times, and hide them in various places of the planet, so that they didn't get destroyed. The true history of who we are, and the truth of what's happening at this time. And so when, like, the Library of Alexandria was burned and all that information was burned, well, we that were psychics knew that things were going to happen, and we transcribed a whole bunch of things and put them in hiding places to be found later on. So sometimes you just come into a lifetime to prepare for something that's going to happen in the future. So we're only prisoners of our own minds and our beliefs.
Thank you. I love that you just said that, because that brings us back to what I call isness, the I am, understanding that it is always our choice to come here. It's really, really important not to fall into that matrix trap and to believe what they want you to believe, which is that you're stuck, that you're disempowered. So I'm going to go into a little bit about the different races, because someone is asking me today to describe the Talsetians. And they are very, very interesting races. And the question is, there isn't much on the internet about Talsetians. Can you discuss them in detail? There isn't much about them because they're not incarnating very often. Okay, I don't see very many of you guys. The very few that I've met have happened to be either contacts coming from N5D or, or the Cosmic Awakening show with Michelle, or they are coming from my Facebook group. And I haven't met them outside of you guys. You guys are a little bit rare. So I will show you a picture of them. There you go. Cute, huh?
They look like elves. They look like elementals in a way.
But
They're
there
cute.
is a deepness to that energy. You see their eyes? This is one of the primary races. There are many races, as Michelle was saying, from each star system, and this is what the Talsicians look like. Many people say, oh, they remind me of bears, or they remind me of this, or they remind me of that. Think that, but think wise. Very wise. Talsicians don't speak a lot. They're very quiet. They are born in a certain evolution that initially causes them to have a little bit of confusion about suffering. They don't like to see suffering. That's their biggest downfall, I'd say here. For lack of a better term with downfall, that's an alignment that chooses them to actually step into love in an empowered way, which is a difficulty in that particular starseed origin. So what I've noticed about the primary races of Talsicians is that they are a combination of everything. They have a lot of science. They're very grounded. They're very matter of fact. They're not so much into definitions. They're not so much into understanding their origins. They're one of these folks that, coming into human incarnations, I would state that they really actually enjoy being human for the most part. And they're the most grounded folks. They're the ones that can actually sit there and meditate. And they could turn around and channel a light language to you in one moment and be highly in that energy field, and then turn around and ground, blast the radio in their car, and not even let the matrix bother them. They're very unique individuals that aren't very bogged down. So they actually don't have a lot of issues with awakening because they feel, okay, I can choose awakening however I want to choose it. They're very, very wise, and their collective purposes for coming into this earth environment happen to be discernment. And discernment is a very underrated purpose. A lot of people are just like, well, how do I have discernment if I don't really know what's true? Talsicians know what's true. They follow that precognition. And because of that, they tend to awaken to every single gift possible. They're very, very, very gifted. They're the ones that are going into the light languages and light language blessings and psychic surgeries. John of God, as you know him, I've noticed that he has an origin with Talcedes, just so you know. And I'm going to go into a little bit of these pictures that I brought for you today that I thought you would find helpful. They're channeled by a psychic who is a really good channel, and I found her very, very synchronistically, and a friend of mine showed me these pictures, and I immediately connected to them because I see them in my astral journeys, and I see them through all of my collective experiences. I'm an ether-based being, so I'm always on the astral. When I'm awake, when I'm asleep, I'm always interacting with these beings. They're like right there in my presence. So when I saw these pictures, I was like, wow, this is really, really, really spot on. So I want to show you them. This is a Venusian. For those of you who, I don't know if you can see that, if I need to pull it up or down. But basically speaking, they're very, very interesting beings. This is Nikola Tesla's origin. Let's see
like
what
with the V type chin.
Yeah, they're very, very interesting. This is the Arcturian, the female Arcturian. This is a male Syrian.
Wow, look at those cat eyes.
I know. Syrians are a bit of a conglomerate race normally. The dominant races are also a bit of a blend of Lyran feline and Hyadian. The dominant one anyway. As you guys know, there are many, many, many races. It's like saying, I'm human. Well, what kind of human? This is a mantid race from Orion. Someone asked a question about this a while ago. Are mantids bad? What are mantids? Mantids are playful. They are loving, but in a weird way. They're not in this kind of, you don't want to go hug these beings, not because they're going to hurt you. They're actually very neutral. But how I would describe mantids is that they are coming in as a bit of a watcher. Okay, they're coming in ways where they're watching what you're doing, they're observing what you're doing, not always for negative purposes. That depends upon their alignment. Okay, so if they're aligning in a way where they are playing a role where they're trying to make sure that the downloads that you're receiving from your dominant starseed origin and family, those downloads are actually taking in you so that you don't have physical problems like heart attacks, high blood pressure, diabetes, vision problems, so many things I could list: headaches, migraines, visual disturbances, vertigo, Meniere's disease. As many of you know, I'm a medical intuitive. And I see these things happening as symptoms of awakenings. Mantids actually come in. A lot of the time I see them around you when they have a contract with you to help you wake up safely so that your body and brain don't freak out. So I see mantids around you. Mantids are really playful. For those of you who have cats, mantids love cats. This is a cute little thing about cats. I'm a cat person. So when mantids come around my cats, they like to play, and they do this when I'm not paying attention because I see them, but sometimes I just go, you know what? I just kind of want to be human right now. I really don't want to see anything today. Just kind of leave me alone. And they will mess with my cat. Not in a negative way, but they'll just kind of run up because mantids are huge. And many of you, one of you who's watching me today used to say to me, well, if there's a mantid behind me, why doesn't he just show up and show himself right now? And I'm like, okay. Because you'd lose your shit. Because mantids are about 7 feet tall. They're tall. They are massive. Their heads alone are the size of the first part of our bodies. Okay? So if that shows up in your face, and then if you start to hear them clairaudiently, it sounds a little bit like this. I'm going to give you some mantid language. Freaked out? Yes, you are. So this is why you don't hear mantids. That was me channeling one, by the way. Yes, it's a very big bug. But they are very, very intelligent. And when mantids come to me, the first thing I do is that I ask the intentions. Yes, what the hell? Exactly. Imagine if I started talking to some of the reptilians right now. You're really going to freak out if I talk to some of the Alpha Draconi. I'm not going to do that for you today, by the way. Don't worry. So, yeah, they love cats, and they'll come up and they'll just stand right in front of my cat, and they're like, boo! And my cat's like, real, and runs off. And then the cat's like, oh, you're actually playing with me. Cool, I'm going to play back. And those times at 3 a.m. when your cat's like, must randomly run from one room to the other and scratch the heck out of the carpet on the way there, and then hiss like mad. They're not actually scared, they're playing. So mantis' way of getting your attention, just so you know, happens a lot. And I'm sitting there getting a very comic review of your lives when I'm seeing all this during sessions. So next, vegan. I love vegan and I love Orions. These two are in alliance. They're very, very connected. But when you look at these type of beings, because of humans have this misrepresentation of the green face, a little bit scaly, kind of get freaked out. They're actually wonderful beings, really, really wonderful. Not all species of reptilians are bad. These are wise elders. They don't talk a lot. They're quiet. When they do speak, it is softly, gently. Even though they are non-sentient, they come in with purposes of holding a space of safety. They come in for those of you who are coming with a vegan perspective, you're coming in to protect. You are loyal, you are protective, you come in with purposes of awareness and truth. So vegans come in for purposes of wisdom. They're wise. They want to eat everything up, but at the same time, they want to provide a space of balance, and they want to help you with boundaries. So if you have any of those in your lives right now, they will help you with self-love. They will help you understand love from a way that is different than you ever understood before, because it is non-sentient. So that's different. This is a standard reptilian. Nibiru. Not crazy about them, honestly. These are the ones that you guys come to me and you're like, scary. I see stuff in front of me. The Alpha Draconians look a little bit like this, except without all that, and with a set of wings that look a little bit like a giant bat. So, yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on crack. These are the ones that kind of freak most of you out. They come in in a very non-sentient way, and they freak you out because of their nature. If you hear them, you don't like the way they sound. They have this kind of guttural tone. I'm not going to do it for you because it will freak you out. Um, they come in for purposes of sucking away the fear, and a lot of times, about 50% of the time, the other 50%, well, that's the state of the matrix that we're trying to get rid of. But about 50% of the time, they come in because they have an alignment with you based upon your soul contract, where they're actually having a symbiotic relationship with your human body to take away that fear. Okay, the problem is the more you give it to them, the more they want it. So I don't like that about Nibiru. So not crazy about them. Not to be in fear mode, but for awareness. Okay. Alpha Centaurians, got some of you here today. Absolutely beautiful. I'm just coming into my Alpha Centaurian awareness of that fractal of myself. She's just now starting to come in as a soul braid with me. So I'm learning about them. My producer has a large Alpha Centaurian aspect. Alpha Centaurians are really also into wisdom, truth, authenticity, awareness, structure. They're grounded, the most grounded, basic human folk that understand how to be in the physical bodies. There are sentient and non-sentient races within the Alpha Centauri. They have some that are very non-sentient that kind of remind me of, what do you call those things? They're actually lizards, but they're huge. The kimono dragons. That times 100. Big, large. And then they have some that look exactly like this, that are exactly sentient. They have some that look like giant bears. Their language is not very human. It is more tonal. They're frequency-based beings. So for those of you who are awakening as an Alpha Centaurian on the sentient side, what you'll want to do is awaken with binaural beats, isochronic tones, music of all facets. Music will be the thing that structures you, grounds you, and also wakes you up. Alpha Centaurians as humans have problems with food. You want to be very aware. Michelle and I were talking about this a little bit on her Cosmic Awakening show, about how not everyone is meant to be vegan at this time. It would be a beautiful place to enlighten to, and we're going in that direction, but some of us aren't there yet. Alpha Centaurians are a prime example of that. I was just talking to one of them last night, and I told him, you know what? As an Alpha Centaurian, you might want to stick to eating some meat. It needs to be lean meat, but I think you need the protein specifically from the enzymatic structure in meat right now because of the Alpha Centaurian nature. Not all of us are designated to be vegans right now, so you should know that. You Alpha Centaurians, that's not going to work out for you. Probably not anytime soon. And we want to work towards that, of course, but your bodies don't respond to it. I see you trying to go vegan and you automatically get sick. You're not ready for it yet. So keep that in mind. Someone in chat just went, phew. Yeah, exactly. Big load off of it, because I can't stand the shame that's coming in the spiritual communities when it comes to be vegan, don't smoke, don't drink, don't do this, don't do that. The shame that's associated with that is keeping you right where they want you. If you're going to do that, do it, enjoy it, and then there's tomorrow, okay? That we're not here to stand on our pedestals and be enlightened gurus. We're here to stand in our humans and help each other wake up, right? Okay, so Pleiadians, they look like us. There you go. I'm sorry, I got on a rant. They have two different races that I've noticed that are dominant. One with the blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin, almost see-through. They sunburn very easily, yet it's very ironic because they also enjoy the sun, like love the sun. So there's also a race of them that looks exactly like this in their facial structure, except they have dark hair, dark eyes, have that strong high cheekbone presence, look exactly like humans. The language is the closest to the human language that I could possibly, closest to the English language actually that I could possibly describe. So that's why so many of you connect so much to the Pleiadian. If you're grounded in your Pleiadian aspects and you're awakened into that and your Pleiadian purposes for being here, you feel very human and you enjoy being human. So let's talk about Zeta Reticulum. These are the standard species of the gray. Cute, huh? Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about grays because they're one of these non-sentient beings that I call them drones. The reason why I call them this is because they're very controlled. They could be operating in your benefit, they could be operating in your detriment, and it's important for you to know. Use your discernment and ask. This is called the cosmic rule of 3. I'm going to share this little tip with you because as a channel, it's been very important for me. I was shown this information, and I remember it from about age 5, where this is the first time Yeshua came to me, and he said, there's something that I would like for you to know that is a universal law. When these beings come to you, they can actually come to you in the darkness. They can come in the shadow. They can come and misrepresent. And this is a question that someone had to me a long time ago. Would channels, is it possible that someone can come and misrepresent? Absolutely, but here's how you know. The cosmic rule of 3. It's a universal law. You state a question and you have to make it the same. You have to word it exactly the same, and you ask it 3 times. If they give you any variation of that answer, then they're not coming in the light. For example, when Yeshua comes, I know him because it's like talking to my dad. And if anyone else guys come and tells me that they're my dad, I'm like, yeah, back off. So, but I still ask, just in case, and I will just say, what is your name? And he will say, I am Yeshua. Simple. He says that all the time. I am Yeshua. I am Yeshua. I say it 3 times, he answers 3 times. If he says, I am the Yeshua, if he says, I am Jesus Christ, and then he says, I am, Jesus of Nazareth, if he says, I'm Sananda, if he says anything, if he says, I am the Yeshua, I am a Yeshua, I am Yeshua of something. If anything is different about the frequency, the words, anything, I'm going to cast it off. And I do that with the word rebuke, which, by the way, is one of the actual accurate words that I've noticed works a lot for many of the religious texts. Even though I'm not a fan of religion, when you use the word rebuke, it gets things away. So as a natural channel, if I say, I rebuke you, they must go. Simple as that. In other words, get out. GTFO. So let's go on to the Lyran. This is Lyran male, but it's very, very vague. Lyran females look a little bit similar. They have a very defined jawline. They have interesting, larger lips, more structured nose. Very, a lot of profundity and love in their eyes. They're 11th dimensional. They are the most sentient beings on the planet currently. And they are where most of us began, either from there or Orion. So they have a lot of, they're coming in, and they branched off to many of the other races within the Lyrian Syrian Council. They branched off into Sirius B. They branched off into the Pleiades, the Hyades, the lion people within the Lyrian felines, so many different ones. Okay, let's talk about Andromedans. This is an Andromedan male. This is not what you thought that I was going to show you. They have a tribal appearance in one of their dominant races, and they have actually darker skin, darker brown eyes with a little bit of a gold overtone around them. Sometimes they look like this and that tribal appearance. They like the facial hair. They like hair. Hair is a big deal for the Andromedan race in this particular species. But they also have, oh, did Michelle go? Okay, I guess Michelle went. Okay. Okay. She may have lost her internet connection. So while we're waiting on her to come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Andromedans in terms of their other dominant species, which happens to be blonde. There's like a very blonde nature with blue eyes and almost translucent skin. So that's the nature of the Andromedans there. So I guess Michelle may have dropped her internet, so she'll be coming back whenever she gets it back, or maybe she had to refresh her screen. We only have about 5 more minutes before Michelle has to go anyway, so we're going to answer another question. Who are we making contracts with? Everyone. Oh my goodness, they're a part of Source. All of these beings are a part of Source. It's not just one particular race. We have contracts with everyone based upon our soul contracts and pre-birth intentions. Who holds them? Be more specific. What's your take on Andrew Bartiz? We'll ask her when she gets back. I can't answer that for her. My take on him is that he's very, very knowledgeable, but much with what we were discussing earlier. There are some things that I really align with in his perspective, and then there are some things that I'm like, I either haven't learned that yet or I'm not relating to just yet. So I feel like when I get into that fear-based modality where something comes in and I'm like not quite ready for it, I don't know personally if it's based upon my personal fear or if it's just not lining in general to truth. But for me, I don't have a particular perspective on some of his modalities yet because they are fear-based, and I don't align with anything that's fear-based. I immediately discard it. So some of it is a little fear-based, but some of it is so out there in its truth that I go, okay, well, that's fear-based, but I've completely seen that in my journeys. So I'm real 60-40 on him. I really feel like about 60% of his information right now I really do align with. Let's try to get Michelle back for a moment. And while we're doing that, I will go ahead and answer a question about astral projection. Can you have a bad experience? Absolutely. I think she's starting her camera now. Okay. She must have lost her webcam. Yeah, you can have a bad experience. What you want to do is understand that normally in astral projection, the majority of the experiences that are coming through that are negative are based upon fear that happens from a fight or flight response. And when you understand what sleep paralysis is and understand what happens during the hypnagogic state, then you will also understand about how to get out of fear during astral projection, because the majority of the negative experiences that happen during negative astral projection occur during what's called sleep paralysis. So sleep paralysis is actually a natural state. Your brain produces chemicals that flood your body in order to paralyze your physical body so that you don't thrash about. Welcome back.
Having all kinds of computer issues, but that's okay.
Oh no,
I can stay on a little bit longer if your viewers want to stay. It's up to you.
Okay, yeah, we'll do it about 10 more minutes and then we'll go ahead and go. But yeah, we were talking about astral projection and someone said, can you have a bad experience? And I was explaining to our crowd here that it's based upon what the brain does during sleep paralysis, because the reptilian brain, which we're all born with, by the way, it's very rare to not be born with that because it's part of the matrix system. So in order to get out of that, you have to understand the limbic brain. You have to understand that portion of our brain. So what that is, the reptilian brain is the part of our brain that produces chemicals, endorphins and all sorts of things that flood our adrenal system and then flood our physical body. They cause sleep paralysis during astral projection. It would be okay if we were not awakening and becoming aware that our spirits are actually out of our body. But because we aren't fully awakened and aware of what's going on, what happens is during astral projection, a lot of times something will happen because it happens during sleep and it happens during meditation. It happens when we're really, really calm. And then our brain goes, oh, you're asleep. Okay. Flood body with chemicals. Paralyze your body so that you don't thrash about and wake yourself up, because whether you're meditating or you're asleep, your brain doesn't originally make that discernment when you're first waking up. Okay? So it floods the body with those chemicals and then you're stuck. You're kind of, okay? And that's for a protection thing. However, when you realize that your spirit's not in your body because maybe a dog barks or maybe your spouse walks into the room or maybe just some random bus drives by and you live in this city, your body goes, oh my God, you're waking up and oh my God, where's your spirit? And oh my God, and then your spirit starts to be yanked back in. So the cord is literally pulled very quickly because that's the etheric cord. And then when it happens, we have a little bit of a vibrational disturbance between the frequency of the 3D body and the frequency of the evolving light body, which is much higher. And then our brains freak out. Okay? So when you understand that, you go, oh, that's what's happening. Sleep paralysis. Okay. My brain's trying to go in fight or flight response. Okay. I'm seeing beings. Okay. I'm seeing beings because I'm actually not in the 3D. I could be in the 4D or 5D right now. Okay, I'm in a different dimension and I'm heading back into my body very quickly. Step into your awareness and then you understand that it doesn't need to be fear-based. Just understand what it's about. They were asking a question about your perspective on Andrew Barthes and his work when we were gone, if you don't mind.
Okay, just real quick about the astral projection. I just wanted to finish that. Can you have a bad experience? When you're in the astral realm, you will draw to you the vibrations that you put out. So if you are in fear, you're going to draw beings who would like to play on that fear. If you are in complete knowledge of who you are and that everything comes from source and you're out of fear, then how can you have a bad experience? So that's what I wanted to say about astral projection. Andrew Barthes was a speaker at the October 2013 N5D conference here in Sarasota, Florida, as well as Teal Scott. And there was a lot of things that resonated with me with Andrew Bartzis, but then there were some things that I think people change a bit, and they may get off center. And I think there was a period of time where some of the information coming from Andrew didn't have the vibration anymore that I resonated with. However, just recently, I think that I can see that Andrew has done a lot of work on himself and has realized some of the things that he was attacked with, and has been able to hopefully come out of that kind of vibration. And I would like to encourage everyone to listen to anyone that that resonates with them. If you can understand what the man is saying, then maybe that's something that you can find some truths out of. If you don't understand what he's saying, I would encourage you to move to someone who you could actually understand, you know. So it's a very common sense type answer. There are Akashic records of people personally. There are Akashic records of the planet. There's Akashic records of the galaxy and of the universe. And then there are also some false Akashic records that were created to confuse and to keep the truth from people. So I encourage everyone, instead of listening to someone else's rendition of the Akashic record, to learn to connect with Akashic records themselves and to realize what Akashic record they're connecting to. As a master of vibration, as an aspect of a soul that came from the cherubim angelic realm, I am a master of being able to disseminate truth. And sometimes there's a lot of truth with Andrew, and sometimes there are some things that don't resonate. So I really was into Andrew Bartzis in 2013 a lot, and that is what drew me to the N5D conference in 2015. That is how I met Greg Prescott, and that is how Greg and I, from that moment forward, when we met, that we've been inseparable since then. So I have to, in some weird way, thank Andrew Bartzis for that. So don't really have a lot more to say about him other than I was fascinated at that time by his material, but since then I believe that I moved on to other information that served me a little bit higher. Oh, you're muted still.
Am I good now? Okay.
Yes.
I mute myself when I cough because I don't want it to be vibrating in your ear. Sorry about that. Yeah, I went out onto some stuff to review some of his records as well, and I liked a lot of what I saw, and some of it I went, okay, well, I don't know if I aligned to that, but I'm going to keep listening, and then some of it would align later, and some of it wouldn't. But the point is, I agree with Michelle, if you're going to align to different teachers and different speakers sharing this information based upon your current vibration, your current level of spiritual evolution that you can handle at that moment. Take in what you take, just like if you're reading, for those of you who are into religious text, you know, there are many, many things in the Bible that I go, mistranslated. And then there are some things like in Psalms where I go, ooh, spirit touch, you know? So same thing. So granted, Psalms is straight from the Essenes. It's not really somebody in King James who wrote it. You guys know how I feel about that. But yeah, hey, Michelle, how do you feel about Teal Scott? I'll answer what I feel about Teal Scott. It's actually Teal Swan at this point in time. I love her, and I feel like she has a very unique perspective. I feel that as an Arcturian, coming into the Arcturian presence, she has a purpose that either you're going to really identify with and love, or it's going to catalyze the crap out of you, and you're going to go, and then you're going to get these possible truth discernment triggers, or you're going to get something that's doing that because you're afraid of what she has to offer. So I'm getting people coming to me that they're either fully aligned with what she has to say, or they are just going, I don't resonate for some reason, let me remind you that she comes in with a specific purpose of catalyzing. She's an indigo. As with most indigo teachers, you're going to be rubbed the wrong way at first. Keep that in mind. I was too. And I straightforward told her, I'm like, I don't really know if I sit with that. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh, I'm seeing a lot of these things in my own Akashic. And the more I was ready for it, then I could handle it. So keep that in mind as well, that Teal comes in with a very neutral perspective where she's here to provide a balance during a very curious tipping point. So if you're on this side of the tipping point or that side of the tipping point, your alignment is going to be very, very different. Let's see.
Can I say something?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Anna in the chat said there was an older gentleman standing behind me, and she wanted to know who that was. That he had his yellow shirt on. I always have beings around me, but I'm not familiar with this.
Do you want me to tell you who he is?
Sure. I think it would be beneficial for Anna to have confirmation as to what she's psychically seeing, because obviously you can't see on the video. So she's psychically seeing a older gentleman standing behind me, and this kind of helps people confirm their own abilities.
Mm-hmm. And this is an interesting guy. I can't get his name. He's an English. He's English. I'm hearing this English accent. And while I'm not getting a name, I don't often get names all the time. Sometimes I get them and sometimes I don't. He came in with some precious information involving a particular substance that reminds me a little bit of colloidal silver, but it's some sort of really charged, like nanoparticle charge. He's a science guy. And he's trying to work with Michelle to help her with something about her body. This is what I see. And he wrote a book about it, so you could probably find out who this guy is. He's telling me he's pretty popular. And he's pretty cheeky. He's older. He's coming in his human perspective, and he has a hat on. And I'm seeing him has a hat on and some khakis, and I'm seeing him in that way. And he's very, very funny. He's a little cheeky. He's an English guy, and he wrote a book about a particular substance that he created, and that in this book he taught people how to create that involved, and they can make it themselves these days, that help them wake up and that help them clear their pituitary gland. I don't know who he is. You should.
Interesting. Well, it is interesting that I'm going to England, and I actually spoke with an aspect of myself who was a Templar who went to Scotland in the later part of his years, and he will be with me when I go to Scotland. And I've been connecting with various aspects of. It's funny, like on my Facebook wall, England and Scotland is now just all this information is popping out at me now that I'm about to to head there in about a month. So very interesting that he happens to be English. Yeah. Synchronicity involved there with that. Okay, so
popular book that he wants you to read, and it's about this substance that he created that helps with the pineal gland. He says you've been asking about that, so he's just trying to confirm.
Interesting. Interesting. Thank you for bringing that up, Anna, as well. And I wanted to mention what we can do to be able to, knowing who we are and where we're from, how we can ground ourselves more into this reality to help change it better. And we've all heard about the word grounding, but what does that really mean? What does it mean to ground? We have electromagnetic energy that is reaching us at this time, and this is not necessarily through the sun. We're not receiving these sunbursts right now. This is literally coming from the cosmos. And when energy comes through our body, if we have any blocks, it will build up in a certain area. Like if you have a block, if it's coming in your crown chakra and you have a block in your pineal gland, you could get a headache from that. And what we need to do is be able to allow the planet to help us move the energy through and kind of like keep us from short circuiting. And so it's really important, if you can, to walk barefoot on the ground, or literally go out to the soil and rub your feet in the ground, rub your hands through some dirt, lay on the ground if you can. Listen to the sounds of nature. If you can listen to the birds chirping, or at night, if you can listen to the crickets, or just the wind blowing, connect with those sounds of earth so that the energy can move through you easier and doesn't get hung up. And you can also eat grounding foods such as a root vegetable. You can also imagine that your feet have roots that grow down into the earth, into the core of the earth, and imagine you have a tether that is like anchored to the core of the earth. And these are all important things to keep us grounded. Earlier, someone talked about not feeling like they were from somewhere else, feeling that Earth is their home. And you had also mentioned, Pamela, that the Pleiadians felt this way as well. The Pleiades is so closely related to Earth. And when we are out in spaceships traveling around, we're not grounded to a planet. And we get tired of being out traveling all the time. Or if we're traveling in our body, our light body, we don't need a spaceship. We still like to ground with source energy somehow. And that's why being here feels so comfortable to those who are very grounded. It's because that's how we connect with source, because the planet itself is an aspect of source. And planets are ascension machines. You get to incarnate in a physical body and have that connection with source to move back to source. So if you would like to ascend, you need to be at a planet to be able to have that connection with source once again.
I agree with that.
The cats being able to see the beings, the elementals and other things. Even the cats are moving into the fourth dimensional realms and fifth dimensional realms and higher too. As the earth is raising her frequency, it is making more beings being able to be seen by the animals. So don't forget that your pets are ascending as well as dogs. You know, every living being on the planet is being affected by the energy at this time. If you're having a very hard time coping with this energy, you need to ground yourself. Being in nature and being in sync with the animals can help. Petting your animals, giving your animals love, and having them mirror back unconditional love to you will help raise your vibration and help to keep you grounded. That is their job. That's what they came here to do. Allow them to do it.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And as an animal person, I really feel like it's very important that we understand that the animal souls are evolving too. I noticed like 11 years ago or so that animals were coming in kind of with soul purposes that rode on the backs of their humans, and they would attach themselves as soul family members to the souls of the humans, you know, with a dual purpose. And while some of that is still occurring, what I'm noticing now is that they're not doing that as much anymore. They still have an alignment with the same purposes. They still help you, but it's not so much the same. Like they're evolving in their own individual ways as well. So they're not as freaked out. They're evolving. A lot of them are getting to the space where, you know, a lot of you are coming to me and you're saying, my cats just aren't acting like cats and my dogs just aren't acting like dogs, you know, and my birds are freaking out and things are happening. And I want to say that, yeah, I can affirm that. I can attest to that from what I'm noticing, that the cats, whenever I'm communicating with them, they're talking to me from a very evolved perspective as souls that are sometimes even more evolved than their humans. So I'm just telling you right now, they are very evolved right now and going even further in their evolutionary state. The animals are going even further in their evolutionary state than we are, especially the dolphins. I've noticed that the Syrians that are projecting into dolphins and whales are very, very evolved. And this is why I love the ocean, because I like to go stand in front of it and just listen. Just listen to what the beings in the ocean are having to say to me. and it's been such a catalyst and such a major awakening, the ocean, every single time for me, so keep that in mind. And it's a little comical for me though, to be honest, because, I was sitting there talking to someone the other day and his cat was absolutely freaking out. And we were on Skype together and he was like, "What's up with my cat?" And I'm like sitting there saying to myself, you, like you are awakening so hardcore that your cat's trying to transmute that energy for you, and then yeah. So at that point in time, just go grab your kitties and your doggies, or your birds or whatever you have, and just kind of give them some loving, okay?
So what we need to do right now is to focus on what we do want and not what we don't want. And so it's important to realize where your tethers are, your anchors are to the old 3D energy, and move yourself more into aligning with 4D and 5D and higher energies. And Pamela hangs out in the fourth dimension, and she's holding a bridge between the old 3D belief systems and worlds and the higher fifth dimensional, all forgiving, all compassionate place of love and understanding. So you can, I kind of like had a vision before the show that she's kind of there. You walk across the bridge, and she'll hold her hands out like this for you to stick your foot in there, and she just props you up, she'll just catapult you up. So there are that's the vision that came in my mind. So anytime we have all these issues going on with the election and with what's happening, when you lose your internet connection, none of that is in your reality. It's so bizarre. So that's kind of what I wanted to end with today, is disconnect yourself for a while. Use, if you're in North America, use the energies of the spring, of the new birth, to spend time in nature and connect in a different way. Connect to the internet that is more powerful than any computer internet will ever have. Connect to all that you are through nature, and you'll realize that what you thought you were is different. It's so simple and so balanced and calm. It's not so galactic as you might think. It's more a balanced energy is who you really are. That balanced energy is what Earth needs at this time.
I agree. Thank you so much for being here today and giving us a little bit more of your extra time. I'm so sorry to keep you. And I just love the work that you're putting out. I hope that everyone just can partake in that, because Michelle has a lot to offer, guys, and she's doing it from the innate goodness in her soul. And she's doing a lot of this for free. And it's very, very hard to support a process like this. So, so many people come to me and they're just like, well, I don't have anything to donate. And I'm like, fine. Do you have $2? Do you have $5? Do you have anything like that? Or do you have a Facebook share? Do you have a YouTube comment? Do you have something that's free? Keep that in mind too when you support the awakening of the starseeds in that way, even if it's not monetary. It means so much to our purpose here.
Just being here is wonderful support. I mean, I can feel the energy of everyone who is here right now, and it runs up through my legs and into my heart. And it's just, I just love everyone that's here. And we are making such a difference when we gather in a group like this, because our love and our agreement and our vibration is going into all of the human collective consciousness. We are all connected. And so when we do this on such a small level here, we don't know how much of a huge difference it makes. So I want to thank everybody for being here. And I'd like to do this again in a couple months. That would be great. We could do this every couple months if you want.
Oh, I would be honored. I would be so thrilled. You just make me jump for joy with that offer. So I'm definitely going to invite you back again and again. And I'm just going to be like bugging you 2 months from now, like on the dot, you'll get an email. Michelle, you said 2 months.
That would be wonderful.
Can you give us your websites again so that people know how to find you?
Sure. Michelle, Michelle, Walling, WALLING.com, N5D.com, BodyMindSoulSpirit.com. The events can be found at N5Devents.com. And I have CosmicStarseeds.com, where all of my articles and videos are, and then HowToExitTheMatrix.com, where you just want to pop in, learn about consciousness, and pop out, because we're moving beyond the matrix. But you need to know what your reality here is, so you can move out of it. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the conference that you're going to be at on October 15th. I will be getting information up very soon on N5D events about that. Thank you for having me on, Pamela.
Thank you so much, and I love you guys. You can find me at aurareader.com. If you want to join our teaching and learning group at facebook.com, it's facebook.com/groups/aurareader. That's where we post most of my events. I'm a Facebook person. I'm not a really big social media person. You won't find me much on Instagram, Twitter, anywhere else, because I just don't have time. I'm putting my all into one portal right now. So find either of us. I think Michelle has a Facebook too as well, if you want to find her there. What is it again, Michelle?
I'm on Facebook at Michelle Walling. You can find me, and you.
Oh, uh-oh. Okay. I think she's having some problems. I don't know whether to wait to come back. I'll wait for a second because I just don't want to cut off, because I wanted her to tell us more about that, and then we'll end whenever she comes back around. But I just want to thank you all for the support that you're giving us and that you're giving Michelle. That when you want to learn about these sort of things, that we're here, that's why we have these sort of services. That's why I have my Facebook group for you to join it, and learn about these sort of things. And that's why Michelle does the work that she does as well, so that you can ask these kind of questions. We'll do this again. What were you saying about your Facebook group?
Oh, here I am. I'm back. Guys, I've been needing a new computer for such a long time. This is crazy with the internet and computer and everything, but we can find, we have Facebook pages for all of our websites. We do all these websites for free, and we try to provide community for everyone to find like-minded people. So that's about it. Sorry about all the internet difficulties I'm having, and my computer keeps freezing as well. I need a new computer as well, but we made it work for this time.
Yeah. I loved it. Thank you so much. Namaste, everyone. Have a blessed day.
Nice to meet everybody. Bye.